This is West Palm Beach, Florida, home to the prestigious Trump International Golf Club, nestled just minutes away from the white sand beaches of the Atlantic Ocean. This exclusive private club offers its members world-class amenities including 27 holes of championship golf. Now let's examine the positions of Mr. Donald Trump and the shooter. Currently, Mr. Trump is positioned at the 5th hole, while the shooter was reportedly waiting behind the chain-link fences in close proximity. Based on the analysis, Trump was approximately 300 to 500 yards away from the gunman at the time, which is approximately 200 to 457 meters, while the Secret Service sniper's agent inspecting around the 6th hole of the golf course and not on the 5th hole as suggested in our earlier video. This visual representation provides a clearer understanding of the layout and the critical distance between the two individuals during the incident. Now that we've understood the gunman's position, we can piece together his actions. He arrived in a black Nissan SUV and parked somewhere in the vicinity, likely choosing a discreet location to avoid drawing attention. After extensive scouting, he began searching for the ideal vantage point, carefully timing his movements. His aim was to strike at the precise moment when Mr. Trump would reach the 5th hole of the golf course. In this animation, we observe the former President Trump traveling in this golf cart, unaware of the imminent danger. Little did he know the gunman was waiting for the last 12 hours to take his best shot at the former president. As stated, the assailant was armed with an SKS and not an AK-47, as earlier reported. As the president stepped out of the golf cart and prepared to take his shot, a Secret Service agent noticed something suspicious. The suspect had inserted the barrel of his rifle through a gap in the chain-link fence on the outskirts of Trump International Golf Course. This took place at approximately 1:28 or 1:29 p.m. The moment the rifle barrel emerged through the chain fence, the Secret Service acted swiftly. Shots were fired at around 1:30 p.m., neutralizing the threat before the gunman could execute his plan. The suspect, identified as Ryan Wesley Routh, 58, intended to create shock and awe, capturing the entire incident on his GoPro camera. His objective was to sow division among the American people and potentially incite a civil war. Upon inspecting the sniper's location, investigators discovered 2 bags and a ceramic tile, items that may have been part of his setup or escape plan. As soon as the Secret Service agent fired at the suspect, he fled the scene. The suspect likely escaped using the same black Nissan SUV he arrived in, leaving behind the weapon and other items in his haste. It is believed that he fled via Kentucky Street in West Palm Beach, managing to evade immediate capture. He drove for approximately 30 minutes, attempting to distance himself from the scene. Eventually, law enforcement tracked him down on Highway I-95, where he was arrested and taken into custody without further incident. The swift coordination between agencies ensured that the suspect could not get far before being apprehended. Using the July assassination attempt as a case study, let's examine how they work. As stated, the Secret Service has a detail of around 20 to 30 agents for ex-presidents like Donald Trump, but this number can fluctuate depending on the situation. Closest to the principal, in this case Trump, are teams of around 5 to 7 highly trained Secret Service agents. In the 100-foot radius, that is the middle perimeter, there's usually a mix of Secret Service and local law enforcement. An armored SUV or limousine is also on standby within this middle perimeter, covering portions of the motorcade and any pre-event screening. In the outer perimeter, security largely falls to local law enforcement officers. In Butler, the building the shooter climbed was technically outside of the rally venue, and the Secret Service didn't sweep it. It fell through the cracks, which still falls to the Secret Service because it means nobody checked to ensure the plan was implemented correctly. But before we move ahead, let's map out the basic positions of all the parties involved. First, we have the former president's podium, and just beside him are 3 bleachers where a selected audience is seated. Behind them is the sniper team, which can be divided into north and south positions, located on 3 buildings. Sniper Team North is located on the 1st building, while on the 3rd building you can find Sniper Team South. Almost sandwiched in between are these trees, which provided some cover from the Secret Service Sniper Team North. Finally, we have the shooter, who climbed from one of those ladders and selected this position to take out his target. This is what the shooter is likely using: an AR-15 semi-automatic rifle. When ready, he squeezes the trigger, firing 3 bullets in a controlled manner. Let's map out each of the bullets in detail. Out of the 3 bullets fired, the first bullet hit Mr. Trump on the ear. This is the same round that also hit two audience member in Bleacher 3, rendering one of them in critical conditions. Let's move the camera to a top angle to show the line along which the bullet traveled. Next, two more bullets were fired. One of them hit a tractor, which was being used as a makeshift array for speakers. These rounds also hit a hydraulic lever, causing it to burst, almost dropping the speakers. The last 5 shots were probably fired in semi-automatic mode. One of these bullets sadly hit an attendee, and our condolences goes out to his family. In total, around 7 to 8 bullets were likely fired by the shooter. Here is a map of all the bullets fired to help you understand better. Everybody was complaining about the Secret Service sniper for taking 2 minutes to take out the shooter, but let's take a look from the sniper's point of view. First of all, we have these tree lines that could have obstructed the sniper team north, while the sniper team south had a clear line of sight. Here are 2 scenarios circulating on the internet. In scenario 1, the leaves and branches of the tree covered almost 90% of the shooter's entire position. However, for an experienced shooter, this would have been possible to manage. He might have fired the shot and took out the threat. Let's look at scenario 2. The distance from sniper south to the shooter was around 600 to 700 feet. This is also a possible shot and can be accounted for by assuming that sniper team south took out the shooter from this range. When ready, he took his shot and fired his rifle with a 308 Winchester round, taking out the shooter. So maybe there was some miscommunication between the 2 teams regarding who should take out the shooter, resulting in a delay of around 2 minutes when the threat was detected on the roof. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Should the second sniper team reacted much faster? Let's compare the 2 weapons side by side. This is what the sniper probably used. We could divide it into several parts. This is the barrel, one of the most important parts, based on the Remington 700, a tried and tested hunting rifle. The scope and handle at the back, also called stock, can be configured according to your needs. It has an official effective range of 1,200 yards, which translates to 1,097.28 meters, though it is capable of making longer shots. As is based on the Remington 700, it can fire the .308 Winchester Magnum rounds and can also be mated with a 5-round magazine feed. While the AR-15, although much smaller, has an effective firing range of 500 yards. That is around 457 meters, which is within the former President Trump firing range. It uses a .223 Winchester bullet. Although highly effective, the sniper round is much larger and heavier. The advantage of having heavier bullets is their higher ballistic coefficient and greater penetration and velocity compared to the lightweight bullets as shown in these animations. At around 5:10, Crooks was first identified as a person of interest, and 5:30 Crooks was spotted with a rangefinder. 5:52 Crooks was spotted on the roof by the Secret Service. As stated, the gunman was positioned outside the rally venue, approximately 400 to 500 feet away from where Trump was speaking. As discussed, the police sniper was located at this position. They were then alerted and started aiming at the suspected shooter. When ready, the bolt-action rifle bullet traveled a range of around 600 to 700 feet. However, this weapon can inflict damage at a range of around 1,200 to 1,300 yards. This is well beyond the shooter's 500 feet limit. From the top angle, this is what it looks like when replaying how the bullet missed Mr. Trump as he moved his head at the last millisecond. Interestingly, this bullet would have hit the former president if his head had been turned towards the audience as shown here in this visualization. At this moment, Trump remains low to the ground surrounded by agents, who could be heard on the rally microphone discussing which vehicle would be used to move the former president away from the scene. Let's fast forward this event here. At 6:40, the former president was ushered to this black armored vehicle. This takes him to the nearest Butler Memorial Hospital, approximately 11 miles away. At 8:50 p.m., Trump left Butler Memorial Hospital. At 10:49, he arrived at the airport, where Trump Force One was waiting. This shows the amount of workload a secret agent has to undertake to keep a high-value assets like this former president until he is safe inside his private jet. We also make original engineering content, so please subscribe and hit the notification bell for more videos.